Hello, here's a short video about writing review, something that could crop up in the exam, so something that you can actually prepare for and think about in advance. So here's a typical task. It pretty much includes most things, but write a review of a film, TV show, book, sporting or musical event you have seen recently. You might get other things. It might include maybe a game that you play or something like that, but I think the most important word that I want to draw your attention to is the word recently. Relying on that book you read when you were 5, or of a film that you saw 12 years ago or 15 years ago or something ridiculous, is not really a review. Reviews are about being current, are about things that you want to make people aware of now. So we need to prepare for that. We need to be ready for it. So we need to think about what a review is, don't we? First of all, it's gentle persuasion, another word for advice, actually. So you can be persuasive, you can use persuasive techniques because you really want to get people to believe the same as you, okay? And you want to get them to believe the same as you because you've got opinions, okay? So if we look at number 2 there, we're going to be putting our opinions into this review, but people are going to trust us, not just because we've got our opinions, but because we're also going to use facts. So it's a balancing act. You need to have fact, details, and you need to have opinion. You need to have the things that you think and judgments that you've made about whether something is any good or not. Number 3, it also needs to be entertaining. Okay, it's lively, therefore it's probably going to be reasonably informal. We don't tend to write formal reviews. This is an informal task. And 4 relates to the last slide about a recent review, is that it needs to be current and relevant, something that would be useful to somebody today. Okay, something that maybe they haven't seen yet because it's new, or something within the last few months at least, anyway. And 5, it needs to be personal. Okay, if you're going to offer your opinions, they shouldn't be the opinion of everybody. They should be what you think, and you should stick up for your opinions. I'd like you to think about where you see reviews: magazines, newspapers, and websites. They're the 3 primary places where you would read or see a review. So I want you to think about why that would make it look a certain way. What is it about the way that a magazine or a newspaper or a website might set out their review in order for it to work best? So that will help you to structure what you need to do. So here I've put the first 3 parts of the ingredients that I'd like you to use. First of all, I'd like you to obviously have a title. You'd be surprised how many people write a review and forget to put the name of the thing that they are reviewing on it. However, a really good title might just use a pun which suggests the name of the film and also whether you're going to like it or not. So if we take an example like "It's not safe to go into the cinema!" notice, there we have a heading. And it's not particularly clear what that's about, but it doesn't sound particularly positive. It might be a negative one. So underneath we might need a subheading, something that goes underneath, and I want you to use your name and I want you to explain what you're doing. So if you see my second one in bold and italics, Teen Magazine sent Ellie Jones to watch the new Baywatch movie. She's still in shock! And then underneath that, just so that we're really clear, I'd like you to give it a star rating. I want you to go big, 5 stars, or I want you to go small, no stars or 1 star. That way whoever's reading your work will know whether you really like something or really don't like it. There's not much point in a test of writing a 3-star review. It's a kind of meh example of a review, and we don't really want that. And then we need an introduction, just something that's personal. It's very clever to do something personal, or you can just get straight in and talk about the film in question. But here I've got a little way that you could get into it which talks about you, because remember, it should be about you and your opinions. So it was raining last night when I made my way to the Odeon to review Baywatch, the movie. Thank goodness it didn't turn into a flood, as I'm certain I wouldn't want to be rescued by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Okay, so it sounds negative, doesn't it? And then we have those 3 stages. And this is what I'd like it to look like. You can see that the top bit, you're not going to do bold in the test. I wouldn't like to think of you going over and over your writing to make it bold, but you can use 2 lines instead of 1 to make it slightly bigger. You can see that we've got our subheading underneath that. We've got the idea that we're giving it no stars, and then we've got the little personal introduction that I wrote, and you can see that they're all written neatly. We've not got all the extra instructions all around it. Now this is what you'd expect to see in a review. Next, I'd like you to remember what I said about being trusted, using facts. Of course we want your opinions, but only people will trust you if you use facts as well. And you need to be some of the details. In this case, well, I'm obviously talking about a film, but I could be talking about anything. So in this case, we're talking about actors, the plot of the film, the director perhaps, the certificate, and who the writer might be. Any of those things might be useful. Not all of them necessarily, but some of them. So here we have, directed by Horrible Bosses and Pixels, Seth Gordon, Baywatch centres on the Rocks team of lifeguards, featuring ex-Sports Illustrated model Kelly Rauerbach and Ilfenesh Hadira, as they recruit 3 new members: the tough Summer, Alexandra Daddario, the geeky Ronnie, John Bass, and Zac Efron's hyper-muscular Matt Brody. So I hope you can notice we've got real people. This person has gone to the trouble of working out which actors play which parts, and you'll notice that the actors' names are in brackets here, or most of them are. Notice Zac Efron's isn't towards the end there. But if we just want to name a character, straight after them, a great thing to do is to write the actor's name in brackets, as you can see there. We've also got a bit of background. We've got a reference to Horrible Bosses and to Pixels and something else as well. Okay. So then we can balance our facts with our opinions. And these are the comments on the quality of, in this case, the film, but it could be a book or anything else. And here, it would be sensible to write about a key scene or a particular performance or anything that you've noticed. So this is an example. We've got, unfortunately, almost everything about these characters is cliched. That means boring and predictable because it's all been done before. The awkward, slightly chubby one loves the attractive cleavage one, the two sharing a weirdly flirtatious relationship despite him being absurdly stupid, but having a heart of gold, obviously. Efron's douchebag falls in love with her hard as nails when he refuses his proposals, but as we discover, he's got a heart of gold too. So you can see this isn't a very positive review. This is a little bit negative, okay? But what we've got here is descriptions of characters and why they're a bit boring and not very interesting, which is why the film's not very good. And this is what you need to do. Do not be frightened to tell us what you think, because that's what a review is. It is a judgment. You're making judgments. Now you can write more facts, you can write more opinions, and you can work your way through the plot and the characters and the acting and the things that happen in this case because it's a film. But another thing you can do is you can make comparisons and you can provide links to other things. What else is like your choice and how does it compare? So here we have one person, for instance, waves their gun around threateningly for 5 minutes without firing because of a silly speech. Reminiscent, that means reminding me of Guardians of the Galaxy's Oh Child finale, but executed so poorly that there's still a sour taste in the mouth. Having attempted to replicate, reproduce, copy what Jump Street did right, the writers of Baywatch seemingly understand very little about what makes these films genuinely hilarious. Okay, so I'm making 2 references to 2 separate films there, aren't I? So you need to think, whatever you're reviewing, what else is it like? Is it better, worse, or the same? And the final thing you should do is you can make a recommendation. The whole point is that this is a piece of advice. You're making some judgments so other people don't have to think too hard. So what you need to do is to say to yourself, well, what would I say to somebody about to spend their money on going to see this movie or buy that book or go to that concert? So I've got something simple, as if you've been asked a question. Look at how I've done it. My advice, ? Take your towel and roll it out somewhere else. So it's directly related to Baywatch. Don't go on the beach, in other words. Now that's a slightly smart, clever one. But as long as whoever reads it understands that you either do or don't like the movie, and you've been consistent and they're not confused by it, you haven't given it 1 star, but by the end of it seems like you really love it, then your final statement should leave them in no doubt about what you think and what you think they should do too. So that's what you need to do. So I've just got on the screen here everything that I've just said put into one to look a bit more like a review. It would probably be a little bit longer than this. You can go into more detail, or at least I'd like to think you could. But that's sort of what it could look like. You can obviously pause this and read it for yourself, but it's everything I've just said. So my final advice is pretty straightforward. I'd like you to learn the structure. Think about the ingredients that we're going to need to put into a review. Look back at the slides that I've shown you. The best thing you can do is research some films, books and TV shows that are recent, okay? When you really pick on a couple of things there, the next thing you need to do is then start thinking about other films or books or TV shows that they are like, and then decide whether they're better or worse and for what reason. Because one of the great things about a review is that it makes links to other films and other books and whatever else, and that's the whole point. So people can kind of go, oh yeah, well I like that person, so maybe I'd like this one as well. Okay. The second thing you can do is look at some examples in newspapers, magazines and online. They're everywhere, okay? But I have put a link to one underneath, okay, which is The Guardian. If you go on theguardian.com/film, you will find lots and lots of reviews. There are other things. There's a site called Rotten Tomatoes, which is filled with information about films, and it's got lots of reviews on it as well. But that's just film. What I'd like you to do is be interested. Think about a book, a film, a TV show, a particular musical artist, a concert given by somebody, a particular sporting event, something that you'd be careful, though I don't want you writing about too much football, thank you, but just making sure that whatever you write about, you are in some ways an expert. We need your opinions, but we'll only trust you if it's filled with facts, okay?